As distracted as you get, I want you to always remember to come back, my love. Don't get discouraged when you get distracted, but continuously redirect your focus back to me. I see into your heart, and I know your desires. I know that you want to dedicate time to me, and that things always seem to take away your focus. Some of this is self-inflicted, and other times it's not. Be mindful of what you do and how you spend your time. It all counts, every minute. Yes, Lord, it definitely does count, and I'm sorry for the times I didn't spend my time as wisely as I should have. Please forgive me and help me to be more focused. Please share your heart with us today. I forgive you, and I'm grateful for you bringing your weaknesses to me. There's a lot to discuss. Then Jesus gave me a vision. So in this vision, I saw the most disturbing images of people eating human flesh. But then time went backwards, and I saw the evolution of how people were led to consume human flesh. It started with television, people watching perverse things as well as porn, and then the music, books, riots, and violent protests and behaviors, down to the actual food they consume. All of it led to people's susceptibility to eating raw human flesh. Jesus, this is so disturbing. And I was thinking that I was seeing this because of the preview of that new movie coming out about the cannibal couple murdering people. I couldn't look at the screen because I didn't want to have those images in my mind. How could people ever do this, Lord? How do you stomach this? He continued, everything that I showed you regarding the evolution of how people get to the point of consuming each other's flesh is directly linked to an overarching need to feel pleasured in some shape or form. This is purely rooted in greed. Many think that greed just relates to money, but it is the practice of wanting more than you actually need and intensely wanting things that were never meant for you to have. Yes, it's unbearable for me to witness these atrocities happening all over the earth, and I'm always looking to be in the company of those who love me, so that I may turn my eyes away from it all, if only for a moment. When I instructed you to deny yourselves, I was leading you away from the dangers of giving into your free will too much. When you give in too much to your flesh, over time it worsens. It starts off very small and unnoticeable, but the longer you do it, the worse you become, and the more you just lower your inhibitions and anything goes. There will come a time in the future where this will become a reality. I won't allow it to get as far as it could get, but you will witness cannibalism become widely accepted in your lifetime. The movie that is coming out is an important factor in influencing the minds of people to let down their inhibitions and try something new that is completely repulsive, especially for those who know better. Oh Jesus, I can't imagine living here and this happening in my lifetime. This is too much. My stomach turns just thinking about it. Have we truly strayed so far that it will come to that point? Unfortunately, that's the case. Majority of people in the world are far away from me and daily giving into their flesh. They don't hear me even though I pursue them constantly. They listen and respond to their flesh because they can't live without feeling pleasure in their bodies. They completely reject the thought of saying no to themselves. There are people at different levels of this evolutionary process. One of the lower levels is consuming too much television, social media, and porn. Middle levels are seeking after wealth and false success and security. The higher levels are being overly sexual and overeating to the point of obesity. So here Jesus, wanted me to continue and just share of just the atrocities of what he's sharing here about cannibalism being in our lifetime, being something that's going to be accepted in our lifetime. And he's explaining the different levels of how we as people in general will reach this and how it's evolved over time. So he's saying the first level is, consuming too much television or social media and porn. So this really shocked me because he is really explaining here of some things that don't seem to be a big deal, but it is. Like we don't realize that so many things that we do affects our spirit. We don't see it right now because God doesn't allow us to see it. We only can see things in the natural, and that's what we typically focus on, is just things in the natural, but we don't know that the different things that we do, it affects our spirit. So if he's saying that, watching too much television, being on social media too much, and then also, of course, consuming porn, which even if you're not, consuming porn, but if you're watching a lot of TV and you're consuming a lot of social media, then you're also susceptible. So a person watching porn isn't worse than a person who spends too much time on social media and spend too much time watching television. They're not worse. God lumped all of those in the same category, which means in his mind, it's the same. It's the same severity. So we can't be like, well, I don't watch porn, so that doesn't fit me. Yeah, but you probably watch too much TV, and I could bet majority of people are on social media way more than they should be. Scrolling for hours, going through TikTok, going through Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all of these different platforms, and you spend hours on there. You waste so much time of your life. I know it because I've done it. You look up and 2 or 3 hours have passed and you've done nothing but scroll on your phone. God is saying that is no better than someone who watches porn, because it's still the act of being pleasured. It's still wanting to derive as much pleasure as you can. And a lot of times when we're escaping things, we will attach to different things. So maybe, like I said, maybe you don't watch porn, but maybe you get pleasure and you get comfort from being on social media, watching videos and reels and stories and all types of stuff. And maybe you get a lot of pleasure from watching movie, just watching mindless TV. So in either case, it's the same goal. You're still trying to seek after pleasure of your flesh. To either run from something that you don't want to sit with yourself, or, just because you like feeling pleasure, you want to always be, in a pleasurable state. Okay. So he's saying that's the first level. And then with the second level being seeking after wealth and false success and security. So those who just have money on their mind, that's another form of pleasure. It's pleasure seeking. You want to be comfortable. You want to have all the money in the world so you don't have to ever worry about anything again. You can buy what you want. You can go where you want. You can do what you want. You're still seeking after pleasure. And it's still a form of greed. So it's still greediness. And another word he just brought to me was gluttonous. So when we think about gluttony, we just think about eating food. But Jesus is saying you can be gluttonous and the things that you consume too much of. So it's not just about consuming too much food when your body is saying we've had enough. It's about consuming too much of anything in your life. That's what makes you gluttonous. Wow, thank you, Jesus. That's what makes you gluttonous. It's consuming too much of anything, regardless of food. So if you consume too much social media, you're being gluttonous. If you consume too much television, you're being gluttonous. Anything that is not building up your spirit and bringing you closer to God, giving you more spiritual insight, is making you gluttonous. It is you engaging in gluttony. Okay, so this is what this is. He's saying that all different forms of gluttony and all these levels that he spoke about is different forms of gluttony, different stages of gluttony, of greed, of pleasure seeking, whatever words, whatever adjectives, synonyms you want to use. It's all gluttony. It's all gluttonous behavior. And then the highest levels being overly sexual and overeating. So here he does mention food, because once again, I said gluttonous is not just eating, but it's also consuming too much of anything. You could be gluttonous. But the higher level is, now you're ingesting so much food that you're the closest to being more susceptible to eat and consume human flesh. Because it's like if you're eating so much now, you'll be open to trying something new because you haven't been telling yourself no. You've been continuing to eat and eat and eat and eat. And even, people with sexual addictions, it's the same thing. God put those two things in the same category because he doesn't look at one as worse than the other. So it's not worse to be promiscuous or overly sexual than it is to overeat and, to just eat until your stomach can't fit anything, or continue to eat even when your body is telling you that you're full. So God put those two in the same category to show that he looks at them the same. Okay, so we can't be like, well, I don't, maybe I'm not overly sexual, but yeah, do you eat when you're not? Do you continue to eat when your body is telling you that you should stop? Yeah, then you fit in that category. We've all fallen short, but he's explaining it in this way to show us that this is how people become susceptible to repulsive things. It's because they don't know how to say no to themselves. They don't know how to deny themselves. That's why Jesus tells us in his word to deny yourself, pick up your cross and follow me. Those instructions were clear and to the point because he is telling us, like I said, the Bible doesn't always go in depth of everything that Jesus is actually conveying. He gives us kind of I feel like the Bible has a lot of surface level things that's important for us to know, but we have to go and seek God for the details. Some things are detailed in the Bible, the things that he really wants us to know, and he says it plainly, like this is what it is. But other things, he's vague about it because he wants us to seek him more, to get even more revelation about what he's saying. He doesn't want us to stop, seeking him because we've read the Bible from, front to back. He doesn't want us to stop seeking him. He is vague about a lot of things because he wants us to continue to seek him so that he gives us more revelation. God is infinite. So he is infinite in wisdom and revelation. There is always something he can tell us. There's always something he can teach us about the universe, about ourselves, about his divinity. There's so much to learn. We can't limit ourselves. Okay. So this was a pretty intense vision. It was really disturbing. And I'm not going to name the movie. If majority of you watch a lot of TV, you already know what movie I'm talking about. But for those of you who don't know, I'm not going to name it because I really don't want you to see it. God does not want you to see it. You do not need to ingest that into your eyes and into your heart. You don't need to watch a movie about cannibalism. But if you happen to come across it, of course, you have free will. But I'm warning you, and God is warning you about the dangers of, consuming entertainment and things of that nature that is literally created to make you more susceptible to do what is actually being portrayed in that entertainment. So he just wants us to be aware, as always, wants us to be aware of what's going on. And that's why he's revealing it, because he wants us to know so that we can go the other way and go more towards him. So thank you so much for listening to this. I pray that you will see God more, as always. And God bless you.